Want to host your own talk show or submit a film? We're here to get your content on television. On Channel 22, we bring you live and replay coverage of government meetings and other town updates. A third channel, Blue Hawk Media, is operated by SAU 16 and can be found on Channel 13 with all your school sports, events, and meetings. You can watch Exeter TV online at exeternh.tv, Apple TV, and on Roku. Find us on social media for extra content. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell to get notified about live streams and new content. Tune in to our platforms every other Friday to watch the Exeter Bi-Weekly Report with recaps of recent events, updates from town departments, and messages from nonprofits in your area.
Well, this is,
if you head to our website, exeternh.tv, we invite you to sign up to our newsletter to receive monthly updates about new content, upcoming meetings, and more. We'd like to thank you for taking the time to watch Exeter TV and hope that you tune in to our other content as well.
He's ex officio. FaceTime from fucking capacitor in the wallet.
Well, if I open that, everybody would laugh that's watching. So.
We don't want that to happen.
They know me in technology. Right.
Jump there.
We're going to declare the Board of Trustee meeting for the Swasey Parkway open. Next item on the agenda is introduction. So to my right is Dave Short. To my left is Darius Thompson, the vice chair, and I am Dwayne Staples, chairperson. Next item on the agenda is public comment. So I would say this is where you can ask your question.
Okay. Not quite sure how to handle that one, huh?
Just want to state your name and where you live.
My name is Richard Robbins. I'm a resident of Exeter. I live in Dogtown Road, or on Dogtown Road. And the first thing I'd like to say is thank you for volunteering for the board. I know you don't receive compensation, but it's still time and it's donation and appreciated by the town. Can you hear it now?
Just a little more. Yeah, there you go.
All right. Do I need to repeat myself, or?
I would probably
yeah.
repeat yourself.
Let me repeat myself in case it wasn't heard. All right. I'm a resident of Dogtown Road, Exeter, and my name is Richard Robbins. And the first thing I'd like to say is thank you to the board members for volunteering their time. I know it's not a paid position, and it takes time and effort, and that's appreciated by me as well as others in the town, I'm sure.
Thank you.
You're welcome. The reason I'm here is because I have a question relative to the vote that was taken on the referendum back in February, whatever it was, and it was Article 33, and it passed. Not by a lot, but it did pass. So my question is, I haven't heard a thing on the status, and I think if there's action going on in the town of Exeter, the board should be informed of that action, whether it's legal action or legal reference and letters sent off to the state attorney general. This board, as far as the trustees of the Parkway, should understand and be given copies of that documentation so you could understand where we are, not have to keep asking questions. What is the status, where are we, and what are they doing? So that's my question there. And then the other question is, can we get that documentation from the Board of Selectmen? If that's who's in control of that documentation, I don't know. I don't know if it's just a legal department or whatever. But somebody is obviously in the know of what's going on. So why can't we share that? What's the status? It's been quite a few months since the vote was taken. And usually what happens, to no surprise of me or a few other people, is at the last minute, some announcement is made and it's done. And it's too late for any response. It's too late to ask questions. It's just done. So that's why I'm asking these questions now. And I think they're fair questions. I don't know if there's anything unreasonable about the request, but I don't believe so. And I look at the old Swasey documentation for the Parkway and the trustee documentation that goes back a long way, and some of the articles that were published in the paper with reference to some of that documentation. And it was about keeping the Parkway open for the use of all the residents of Exeter for non-commercial vehicles. So, you know, therein, there's a documentation that says we ought to keep the Parkway open. That was his intent originally, and maybe something has changed here that I don't understand, but I don't see why we need to close it and stop the vehicles from going there. There hasn't been any problems, as far as I know, with vehicles going through there. And they go down there, some people go down there and park, they enjoy the river, they enjoy the trees, they like to watch people and just sit in the shade. I think that's something that they would lose if they couldn't drive their car through there and park for a certain period of time. And I don't recall it unless there's an unusual event going on, and usually it's closed during that time. Correct. So it doesn't affect anybody, to my knowledge. So anyway, I don't know if you have any response to that, but that's my interest here tonight, and I just want to put that in the public record. Can we get the documentation that's been sent to the state requesting it? What does it say? What does that document say? Does it specifically quote Article 33, or is there a lot more in the background to this to alter that document, the trust agreement? And I imagine there probably is. So I think I'd like to know what that says.
Okay, so I just want to clarify, you know, you mentioned Article 33. That was on the ballot to close Swasey Parkway or keep it open. So
That's correct.
I just want to clarify that.
That's right. And that was March 22nd,
correct.
March 2022. March
Correct.
8th.
I do know that we have our select board rep here tonight. We have asked where that stands, and Nico is here, and he is the chairperson. He has told us that it is with the Attorney General. So the last time, which was the last time that we met here in June, we asked, and the town had not heard anything. As far as the other questions, Nico, could you address those, please?
And only one other thing is, I'd just like to affirm, the position of the trustees of Swasey Parkway currently is you didn't want to open that. You were in disagreement with that. Is that correct?
You mean close that?
Close it to vehicular traffic.
Well, there was three scenarios. There was two-way traffic.
Yep,
There was one-way traffic.
right.
And then there was traffic still going in, but not being through traffic.
Right.
And so I guess technically it hasn't been, even if we went, I liked option number 2 the best. It seems to have worked. But the most extreme option is the one that got voted for.
Right.
But it didn't preclude cars driving in there.
From one end, right?
No. And that was something that still hadn't been decided on, was it was going to be closed, and then the method of closing that road hadn't been fully explored yet.
Okay.
If access could be come in from both ends with a turnaround, one end with the turnaround, no?
It was just one end with a turnaround.
It was
is
voted,
what-
the way it was
So we
written,
were going to close the Water Street end completely?
yes.
Correct.
The warrant article reads specifically, where it was going to be closed off and where it was going to be closed. And I don't have it in front of me, but the
I do.
warrant article specifically.
If you'd like to.
Okay.
I know now.
All right, well, I
It's
just,
my turn to speak.
Okay.
yeah, well, and I guess I misunderstood that then, because that method there does close off the most desirable end of the park to be in. So that's a further problem.
And I think, just to answer your question on that, I think that all of us, the trustees, have expressed that option number 2, being open one way to go through, is what we would prefer. We would prefer, and again, that's been my stance all along. And but with the vote and all, it has gone to the Attorney General. So,
Right.
if you don't have any other questions, I would ask Nico to answer those particular questions about documentation and all that was sent for you.
Thank you, Dwayne, and
Just-
thank you, Boyd.
And just for the record, one of the things that I stated personally is that I would be in favor of it going one way, but if you're looking to increase the walking traffic, you can put up Jersey barriers that will slow people down, make it narrower, and give people an access lane, so you kind of split the road, so to speak, to give them, people that have mobility issues can come down this end and have certain sections where they can park, and then you have a section where it allows for more walking, even though there's a walkway that's there, but sometimes it's not wide enough. But if you're looking to slow traffic down, which is one of the issues, it was an easy option without having to go through the whole process of the Attorney General and looking at the trust and doing all that. Make the road narrow with Jersey barriers and see how that works.
Right.
The other piece that I wanted to bring up is that the road will actually be closed when we start the siphon project, because that's going to happen. And then it'll most likely be closed again when there's another project that hasn't been talked about, when they have to replace something from J.D. Hill in the sewer that's going to impact the use to access the parkway. So those are things that people didn't necessarily think about long term, but they were just looking to do whatever they wanted to vote on, which the most to look to see if the town could, dissolve the trust, and then without having to go on to the Board of Charitable Trust, the whole thing, to look at that to see if they actually could violate that trust, and or is it possible to end the trust without going through the attorney. So that's where kind of things are.
Okay.
Well, it's not necessarily violating the
Not
trust.
violating, but closing the
It's
trust.
going to come down to the Attorney General's interpretation of open to traffic.
That as well as, vehicle,
Right.
pleasure vehicles. And
Because traffic is not being cut off completely, so
Correct.
there's different degrees there, and I think that's one of the interpretations that we're waiting for, is how the Attorney General is going to look at that.
right. And
Is that fair?
yeah, he'll answer that.
Okay.
So again, that's what we know. That's how we, as a board and individually as well.
Thank you for your time.
Yep.
I appreciate it.
Thank you, sir. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Nico Papakostandis. I am the Select Board rep to the Swasey Park Trustees. I'm also presently the chair of the Select Board. So I'll answer the gentleman's questions and also just speak for just a little recall. The Select Board last year had several meetings where we jointly invited the trustees to join us for conversations and to hear from the public. And ultimately, after hearing from the trustees, after the board deliberating and hearing from the public, a motion was made by one of the Select Board members, and that motion made is the one that Mr. Robbins referenced that ultimately went on the warrant, Article 33. The Select Board at that time voted not in favor of the motion, but to put the motion on the warrant to allow the public to let their voices be heard and cast a vote as to how they felt. And the gentleman is right. The warrant article, I don't have it in front of me, but it did close it from one entrance, and there was a way you could come in from the Newfields Road, and there'd be a turnaround, and all of that language is in the warrant. No place in the warrant was there any discussion to dissolving the trust. That's a completely separate issue. Okay, this was only for closing the roadway part way. Dissolving the trust is a completely different matter, and it's about as different of a matter as it can be. And since 1979, the Select Board has had the authority to dissolve the trust should they choose. They've just chosen not to. Dissolving the trust would mean a lot more than just the roadway and the parkway, obviously. So I just want to be clear that this motion does not do anything to the trust. The trust remains as it is. It is just closing part of the roadway. Okay. Regularly during Select Board meetings, the minutes will reflect that I have asked the town manager for periodic updates. The process is, as it was explained on the warrant article, that it first goes to the Attorney General's office, and then getting approval from the Attorney General's office, it then goes to probate court. Okay, so there were two steps. And I think I reported back to you, one of the meetings in the summer, we talked about this, and I said that there was nothing new to report. You're absolutely right. It presently is still with the Attorney General's office. Our town council has been working with the Attorney General's office. The attorney who was assigned to this at the AG's office just retired a week ago. So there's going to be a new attorney that will be working with town council. We just talked about this Monday night at our Select Board meeting, and I think what you're looking for, Mr. Robbins, when you're looking for any paperwork from the Attorney General's office, it's in our packet from Monday's meeting. So if you go on the town website, you'll find that the correspondence is there.
Will the correspondence from the town of Exeter, Board of Selectmen, and the attorney for the town of Exeter be there also?
There's no correspondence from the Select Board. We have town council that has been working with the AG's office. What you see in the packet is the document of record to date leading up to where we are now. And I understand that not everybody watches Select Board meetings, but they are archived, they're taped, they're on the website. The packet, the material that we look at is on the website. And as chair, for the last 3 years, I take pride in transparency. And that's why I've asked the town manager, even though some days I know he doesn't have an update, but you don't know he doesn't have an update. So that's why I asked the question. So as we move forward, we will have this conversation in public at Select Board meetings. when it's appropriate to do so, because, we're cognizant of your time, your volunteers. You know that since I've been chair, I've invited you for joint sessions when it's been appropriate. And we have, a good working relationship, Mr. Chair, where if you want to come before the select board, we're always happy to have you. As this moves forward, it's government, it's moving slowly. That's how it works. But as we move forward, there will be transparency at the select board level. There'll be transparency here. That's my job when I come here, to sit with you, is to give you updates. And all applicable material that should be released will be in our packet. So I know, did that answer your question, sir?
Yes, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And it was nice to meet you tonight. Thank you.
Thank you for that update. Any other questions?
Thank you for asking.
Okay. Thank you for inquiring, because we have asked periodically. So, anybody else have any questions, comments?
No, I feel like we've been kept in the loop, but there's really been no information to go through the loop. So, I don't feel like we've been shunned or anything.
No, I don't feel that way either.
No.
Nope.
Okay.
Same.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So we'll go to the next item on the agenda, is to approve the meeting minutes of August 24th. Did anybody note any errors or omissions in those minutes?
Nope.
So,
Make a motion to approve the minutes from August 24th.
Second.
any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Minutes have been approved. Next item is planning along the fence behind the Harris Center, and a couple of these they didn't get worded the way that I wanted them to get worded, and I apologize for that. But what I really wanted just to ask is, were you able to talk with the DPW about the stump and the walkway?
No.
Okay.
No. We've been in a little bit of flux at work this past month, so.
No, fair enough.
But one thing I did note was, my personal observation is that that one stump that's near the walkway, in the corner by the walkway of the fence, if it were me, I would leave it be. Maybe cut it more flush to the ground. But it seems to me like we're opening up a real can of worms taking that out, and it wouldn't really impact anything we did down there, because we're not going to plant that close to the fence or the sidewalk again. But I think we're getting into the fence. I think we're getting into that sidewalk. And I just don't think the cost benefit of doing anything with that stump is worth it.
All right. I would like us all to just kind of revisit that.
Okay.
If, yeah, we can schedule a site walk if that's okay with everybody. And
Well, I think we, based, I sent Darius the photos too.
Yeah.
Based on what I've been noticing over the past couple months, different trees in different states of decline. Possibly part of it's due to the drought. Part of it might be due to the emerald ash borer, and some of it might just be age. But we're going to need additional tree work done down there.
correct.
So we need to walk the place.
Yeah, correct. And I agree with that also. So, and again, the planting, as far as planting anything, we had all decided at the last meeting to forego that for this fall. So we can set up a site walk meeting for a later date.
Would you like a motion?
Well, why don't we want to have our next meeting down there? It shouldn't be too cold yet by then.
In October?
Yeah.
What date?
The October meeting would be...
Before the 28th? Yes.
Yes, it would be October 19th, actually.
That's fine.
So we jumped ahead on the agenda, but no, that's okay. That's okay. October 19th. Okay.
So I'd like to make a motion that we revisit the stumps and the trees and do an assessment on the site walk to address those issues on the 19th.
Yep. Do we want to change the time as opposed to 5:30? Do you want to try and be down?
Yeah, we're gonna have to.
About 4-ish, maybe? Or
Yes.
4 o'clock? Well, sorry, 4-ish. I'll say 4 o'clock.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Does that work if you need to be the rep? Okay. All right. So I'll put that out.
Point of information, if you are so inclined to want to come see what a site walk is like, you're more than happy to join us. To anybody that's out there. And to yourself, sir.
Okay. The purpose of this particular sidewalk is to view stumpage and tree condition?
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, yes, but let me give you a little bit of history on that. We did an extensive site walk a year ago, maybe even a little bit more than a year ago. And I don't know if you've seen, some of the trees were marked with dots. So we're targeting trees that we felt should come down, that could possibly be a safety issue, and obviously I think some of those have been more of a safety issue, and some that we thought could be just pruned. We did get an arborist in. Dave talked to an arborist who is active with the tree committee. He went down there, he looked at a couple of the trees that we had questions with, gave us some advice on it. So we were going to meet with 4 companies, put this out to bid. In that process, some of the companies approached Dave and said that they got together on Arbor Day, and it was a project that they did. So they did the tree work really for nothing.
Gratis.
Yeah.
Well, we bought them breakfast and lunch.
We bought them food. We bought them breakfast and lunch. Yes. So we got a lot of that work done this past Arbor Day. Obviously, they weren't able to get it all done, so we knew that there would be more trees that needed to be addressed.
But there was four companies that spent the entire day in there.
Yep.
And they got a lot done. And they've done this, I think this was their 13th year that they've done it.
Yeah, and we wrote them a thank you letter. They were recognized at the select board meeting. So, but we know that there is more tree work that needs to be done down there. There has not been extensive tree work done for a lot of years. There's been some here and there, but so that's what the site walk is. And then we have talked about doing a planting behind the Harris Center, because we took down a bunch of old fir trees that were there that the pileated woodpecker had got into, and so that's kind of open, and we do have the original landscape architect's plan, and that was planted along there. So we had talked about doing some planting back behind that fence so that it gave them a little bit of privacy. So that's, we do these site walks occasionally over the course of the season, just to look at things and try and keep up with the maintenance needs of the parkway.
And so with all that history, again, if you're interested or want to see what one looks like, the public is welcome to join us, and we always encourage more participation.
Thank you, Darius. I
Yeah.
appreciate the invitation. See when I can add value. I definitely will attend.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Next item is maintenance bids for 2023. And when I put this on, I thought, holy mackerel, we're at this stage already.
Yeah, didn't we just do this?
Well, yeah, kinda. So, how it went last year was we took that first 2 or 3 weeks in October. I asked Pam to put ad in the paper. We also put a notice up at J.M. Hayden's for anybody that was interested in putting in a bid for the Parkway. We closed that, again, I think we ran it for 2 or 3 weeks. And then we opened them sometime around, I think it was actually like the 2nd or 3rd of November. And then we notified that person, we actually notified that person by the end of December, which is what our dates have been the last 2 or 3 years. So do we want to follow that same pattern again this year?
That process worked fine.
It worked fine. The only thing is I will be out of country from the 28th through the 4th, but other than that, of October through the 4th.
October through the 4th of November?
Yep.
Okay. I mean, again, we can
wait till our November meeting, right?
We can, but normally they all get sent to Pam, and we have just a.
Oh, you're saying for the opening of
For the opening.
Okay, yeah.
So maybe if we run it through the end of the week of October 17th, that would be the 21st, although let me see how quick Pam can get that in. And then have the opening sometime the week of November 7th. That would be before our meeting. And then we can notify, I'll work with Pam because I know we had it written in there that they would be notified December, I think it was like December 15th or something like that.
Yeah.
So the one question I do want to ask to get some feedback on, however, is the person that has been doing the Parkway was the only one that bid last year. So, and I guess I would kind of ask for, direct this question to you also, Mr. Chairman. If we don't have anybody bid, what are our options?
Anybody?
Yeah, if we don't have anybody bid on it, if the contractor that's doing it now says, I don't have enough help, it takes too much time, I want to kind of condense my route on my maintenance, and we don't have anybody bid, what would our options be for that?
I guess we'd have to look at a couple different options. I mean, one would be to maybe revise the bid and scale it back. I know we've had to do that on other RFPs that we've put out. We could investigate what resources we have in town. I know Parks and Rec is stretched pretty tight with their work, although it'd be towards the end of the season. But I guess if that were the case, we'd have to have a discussion as to either revising your RFP or seeing what other resources we have available from town staff.
Okay.
Would be that's just my answer right here off the cuff. But
Sure.
I think the first step would be if, especially if the person who's presently doing it didn't bid it, would be to rebid it. Mm-hmm. That would be the first step.
Yeah.
Because I believe they're happy with doing it, and they did a decent job the first year. This year, I think they've done an even better job. So I don't think we have any complaints.
No, I'm just, trying to be a little bit proactive with understanding, what's going on out there with everybody, help-wise and all that. I would have thought we would have gotten at least 2 or 3 bids this past season. We didn't. I'm happy with the work that he's doing. But again, if he decides that it's too big and there's a help challenge there, what do we do? What's our next step?
I think our first step is just rebid it.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then cross that bridge if nothing comes out of the second go-around.
Okay.
And Dave, we've had to do that with some other, two other initiatives that I know of. We just had to rebid it and kind of rework it, so.
Yep.
I just wanted to be a little bit prepared as to, what everybody felt on that. All right. Next item on the agenda, and I put it as getting involved with approval of use permits for the Parkway. What I'm really interested in is trying to get, and we did get it this year, but I'd like to get it a little bit earlier, of all the people that are going to be using the Parkway, but also contact information. I know that we've had a couple of times, for instance, with the, on Thursdays, after the farmer's market has been there, you know, somebody had left the barriers up, somebody had left the flags in there that mark for the people that are in the farmer's market. So I've gone down, taken the flags up. I know we've called Greg, but I think that it would be nice to have for us to know who that contact person is.
Okay, so we're not necessarily looking to get involved in the approval process.
No.
We're just looking for better
No.
communication.
And right, and when I typed this up and I shot it off, and then I got to thinking about what I had typed up, I didn't change it. I should have. So this is kind of, you know, I'm not looking to get involved with the approval process, no, to get back involved with the approval process. I just want some contact information of the people, you know, the groups that are down there. So if there is something left, we can contact them and say, hey, you know what, you left this, somebody needs to go down and take care of this.
Right.
Or, you know, we'll take care of it, but how do you want it taken care of?
I mean, the other option is just contact Greg, if that happens. And
Well, we've done that, but you know what, too? I mean, sometimes, you know, I go by early in the morning, or I get a phone call from somebody that goes by early in the morning. Hey, do you know why the parkway's blocked off? I have no idea. So, you know, I mean, I'm not looking to get into the approval process. I just would like to, you know, get the dates of use a little bit earlier than we did, so we can plan, you know, some work down there if we're going to be doing it, and some contact information of the people on the groups.
and kind of as an aside to that too, I'd like to say that in general, the groups that have used it this year have been pretty responsible in their usage, their setup, their cleanup, all that sort of thing. There's been some pretty good sized events down there, and the next day you go through and you really don't see much of a sign of it. So that seems to be working well.
So, Mr. Chair, I think that's a reasonable request, but I would be remiss if I told you that, didn't tell you that I had several phone calls Monday for people who saw the agenda and were alarmed at the agenda. And
I apologize for that. I apologize, and I apologize if those people are watching. I apologize. I just, in haste, put that in there. It's, again, I hope I've explained it very well. I did not want to be part of the approval process. I just want to see if we can get some more information, so we're not, you know, I feel bad calling Greg because I know he does the approvals, but you know what, I could make that phone call to that contact person.
So I think, and I think, Dave, you were right. I mean, we've only had, I checked today, because I think I get a copy of the calendar that you get, and we worked with providing that to you, or having Parks and Rec provide that with regularity. And there's only been 2 entities that have permitted the Parkway this year. So the permitting has, remains down. As it has been, you know, the last couple of years because of COVID. I mean, it was really the farmer's market, and I think there was one other entity that had permitted it. But I think that's a reasonable request. Maybe we can work with Greg. I know that Nancy, who works in the office at Parks and Rec, I mean, she does a lot of the behind the scenes, so maybe it's, you know, working through her to get that contact info, but I think that's something internally we can work out.
Yeah, and we asked for a whole season calendar, and we got it. And again, I apologize because you know, when I'm sure your phone had rung off the hook.
I had to zing you, Mr. Chair. I'm sorry.
which it shouldn't have, because again, it was my my mistake of how I worded this, that's all.
But I think internally we can work through that with Parks and Rec so that you can get that information.
Yeah.
I think you got the same phone calls I did.
I apologize to you too. And I apologize to you if you got any.
Yeah, they didn't have to
Feedback
call
on
me,
that.
so it's okay.
I did not, but again, it's my mistake.
They can call me, but they probably,
It was my inappropriate wording of what I wanted to pass on out there, so. We're down to other business. I just want to give you a quick update. Signage, still trying to work on that. Aeration, still trying to work on that.
Excuse me, point of
Yeah, go
inquiry.
ahead.
As far as aeration goes, I thought we talked about the grounds is too dry, it's not going to.
Yeah, we talked, but again, that's kind of, I would like to talk to some companies and get an idea and understand what they can do, what they can't do, and kind of be prepared. It's kind of like if we don't get any bids for the maintenance, so.
Right.
That's all.
Okay.
Dave, do you have anything?
Nope.
Darius?
No, other than, just trying to, the follow-up on the, what do you call them? Templates or silhouettes?
The dogs.
Yeah, the dog sign.
Yeah, I'm just,
If not that, you can try to make one.
we could,
Okay.
we could.
I do not have that talent.
All right. I have some plywood around. I'll see what I can do. Actually, I have a poster board I can use that might be big enough to, create the silhouette and then.
The stencil.
Yeah, stencil.
Yeah. Yeah, all right. Again, I'm still trying to work on that.
And so just for those that are inquiring minds want to know, we had talked about putting some stencils down on the walkway because when you're walking your dog, you're typically looking down. You're not looking up at a sign that says no dogs allowed. It's a town ordinance in any park that we have. There's no dogs allowed. There's been some issues with dogs being in the parkway, so we thought that it might be a good way to put a little visual reminder on the ground that says, dog, unfortunately no. And being a dog owner, I would love to take my dog to all the parks, but you can't because it's an ordinance. So, that's all.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
I'm sorry.
No.
I don't want to.
No.
Because I take my work seriously. Mr. Thompson gave me a homework assignment at the last meeting, so I did speak with Chief Poulin. The first question was about patrolling, and the police do patrol Swasey Parkway regularly. And in terms of whether somebody's violating the ordinance of no dogs, he indicated that, number one, if somebody called with a complaint, obviously the police would respond. And number two, if during their patrol or, any patrol, if they see somebody who is violating the law or an ordinance, they take up that matter and, do their job. However, he brought something up to me that I didn't consider, that service dogs. And even if there's an ordinance or if no dogs are allowed, if somebody says they have it's a service dog, okay, they don't have to show certification that they need a service dog. Now, if you go into the state, the state of New Hampshire website, Governor Sununu has a pretty robust ADA page. You can go read it. I looked at it today. Anybody can say that they have a service dog. Hopefully people would be, honest and upfront, but the police do have the right to ask two questions. One is, what is your illness that requires you to have a service dog? And number two, is that service dog certified and trained? Though they can ask those two questions legally, the individual with the dog does not have to answer.
Gotcha.
So I hadn't even thought of that. So I just wanted to report back to you that I spoke with him, and that was his statement.
That's interesting because we run into that at the rink. So
And you see more and more of it, I think, too.
Yeah, that is interesting.
It's I mean, the park is not overrun with dogs.
No.
So, we obviously don't want it to become so, but it is not a major problem in the list of life stills.
I'm not disagreeing with you on that, but there is an ordinance in town that says that's what it says. But the other observation is that for most people that have a service dog, the service dog is identified as a service dog, and and if you're going into a restaurant, you're going to have a service dog there, and that's what it is. At the end of the day, it's an ordinance. You can do the right thing, or you can choose not to do the right thing. That's on that individual. All we're saying is just an ordinance. It's a park. It's an open area. I curb my dog when I walk. There's other people in town that don't curb their dog when they take them for a walk, and I can see it all over the place. So that's on them. But if we just do the right thing, treat everybody the same, we'll be all right.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Okay. So.
No.
All set?
Motion.
So October 19th, 4 p.m., I will get that to Pam within the next couple of days. That will be a site walk, and I'll send her the dates that we had talked about for
the bids.
For the bids and the opening and all that.
And also the site walk is open to anybody that wants to join.
Correct.
Yep.
And it says that on the, when I put that out.
Yep.
Will you normally start at Water Street, the Water Street entrance, and head down, walk down the Parkway? So.
Motion to adjourn
Second.
at 6:13.
Oh, we're 13 minutes over schedule?
Yep.
6:12.
6:12, okay.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
43 minutes. What do we got here from, pictures from Jerry?
That's a long one for us.
Wow.
Is this from Jerry?
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you for tuning in to Exeter TV. Exeter TV is the town's public and government access channels, available on Comcast channels 98 and 22. Channel 98 is your channel. If you have an idea for a program, want to host your own talk show, or submit a film, we're here to get your content on television. On Channel 22, we bring you live and replay coverage of government meetings